Welcome to the Restoration Room, a space designed for rebuilding, for healing, and finding your way back to wholeness. Here, we get real about mental health, spiritual recovery, and the wounds left behind by life, toxic church culture, or personal brokenness.
Welcome to the Restoration Room. This is a space that's designed for rebuilding, for healing, and spiritual recovery. If you've ever carried around toxic wounds from toxic church culture, you've even carried around and battled personal brokenness, man, this is the place for you. Welcome into our space, because here you're not alone. This is a place where we trade pressure for peace. We trade perfection for process, and even shame for grace. Because here in the Restoration Room, the goal isn't to look whole. It's actually to become whole. We're starting a 12-week series called Restoring What Life Tried to Ruin. In this series, we will talk through some real conversations. We'll talk about biblical truths. We'll even look at restorative insight. Together, we'll explore what it means to let God's heart for restoration meet us right here where we are. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 17 says, I will restore health to you and I'll heal you of your wounds. And that's the basic foundation of this podcast. So God isn't calling us to grind harder or even pretend stronger. Oh my God, he's not. He's literally inviting us to grace, to healing, and to wholeness. So in today's first podcast episode, I'm so excited. We're going to dive into why restoration matters more than perfection. We'll talk about the differences between performance and healing, and why God cares less about the mask that we wear and more about the mending of our hearts. This is the Restoration Room. Come on in broken, and when you leave, leave rebuilt. I can't wait. It's time to get started. Come on in, take a seat, breathe in, and enjoy the Restoration Room. Hey family, welcome to the Restoration Room. This is my very first episode and I'm super excited about it. This podcast means so much to me. It is my first time doing something like this. It is something that really, I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone. This podcast means a lot because I wanted to create a space for people of all different backgrounds, specifically those that have been hurt by church, hurt by kinds of toxic leadership, and all kinds of other things bad that have happened in church, to really bring you back to a place where you realize that God still loves you and he cares. So today we're going to be discussing a little bit about that and really giving you an introduction to what the Restoration Room is. Today, I want to really discuss about God's heart for rebuilding lives. Jeremiah 30:17 talks about how he's actually a God that wants to heal our hearts. He talks about how he wants to really give us a space where we can be restored, where we can be whole. And honestly, that's God's heart for his people. We are in a life where perfection seems to be like the end all be all. Social media has pushed us to make our lives look like we have a whole lot of stuff, whole lot of good stuff going on with us. But the truth is behind those walls, behind those masks, behind all of that, we're hurting. We are broken. We are trying to deal with so many different issues in our lives that the truth is a lot of people they're not interested in helping. They're not interested in really kind of going through. They just want us to come to church. They just want us to show up. They want us to shout. They want us to dance. They want us to speak in other tongues, all of these things. But I really believe that in this hour, God is after something different. I believe that in this day and time, He's not looking for religious rhetoric. I don't think He's looking for us to just be performers. Church has just become so exhausting. It has become a place where it's not necessarily a house of worship anymore. It's become a house of performers. We perform for our bishops. We perform for our pastors. We perform for the musicians. And the musicians, even, I've even talked to musicians and they've said things like, oh, we look at services as sets and we look at how we are going to bring in music and bring out music and how we're going to get the crowd ramped up and really get the preacher going, etc., etc. And it's no longer worship. It's no longer a house of worship. And it's crazy because we have strayed, I think, so far from it that not only have we forgotten what we're supposed to be doing, but we forgot about the people who really come to church for help. So, God's heart for rebuilding lives, I really feel, is very important because He is not interested in the things that we've been through. I think that oftentimes we think that God has this standard of perfection and this standard that we have to walk into His presence with uh, clean hands, with pure heart, with nothing wrong with us, you know. But the truth is that He's a God that actually wants the real us. He's a God who really wants to sit down next to us and have conversations with us and really talk about why we're struggling, what we are struggling with, and not present this religious idea that He is a God that wants us to be perfect and to use perfect sentences and all of this type of mystical thing and be all up in there speaking in tongues and feeling like God's not interested in all of that. What He wants, and He speaks about it over and over again, He wants our heart. He really, really just wants our heart. And so sometimes I think that we have made a standard that makes the church feel like my heart is not good enough. My heart is not perfect enough. And so we've allowed people to beat us down. We've allowed people to really beat us over top of the head about things that honestly, it's not their business. It's not their business. And I mean, I come from a place where we shared everything, we talked about everything, and sometimes talking about everything can be detrimental. Letting everybody into your personal space is not always good because while they have good intentions, they don't have the wisdom to deal with everything. And so they end up breaking us down, breaking our relationships down, breaking our situations down, and even sometimes really breaking us down more than what we realize. And so I believe that in this season of my life, that God is really pulling on me to just be better, but also to understand that He's a God that is perfect, but does not expect perfection from me. I think that this space of like real intimacy with God is something that I've been learning in the last few months of really just being able to get into His presence, get into His space, and talk to Him. And when I talk to Him about my life, when I talk to Him about the things that He sees, when I talk to Him about the things that He knows already, I feel so much better. And I realize that He still loves me beyond the mess that I have in my life. I'm not perfect. I have titles. I don't need them here in the restoration room. But the fact is that God cares. And He is looking for people who care about enough about themselves to be able to simply be real. So here in the restoration room, we are going to be discussing different topics like that, right? We're going to be talking about a whole lot of mental health issues. We're going to be talking about toxic leadership. We're going to be talking about toxic church. Oh my goodness. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of things that seem to be discarded in church. Isaiah 58 talks about how God is interested in repairing the breach and restoring the path. But he specifically talked about those that are thrown away. He talked about those that are discarded. And I think that a lot of that discarding is not by people. I think that that discarding is people that have really, literally been discarded by the church. I mean, like, how many of us have really gone in with the real gift, have gone in with the real desire, have gone in with the real hunger for God, and because we were different from everybody else, we were laughed away, we were made fun of, we were taken advantage of. And so we have to realize that there's a place in God where he's really looking for you to be able to come and just be who you are. I think that that is a challenge. That is a thing where we as a people have a problem with being who we are with God. And the crazy part is he knows. He knows who we are. He knows what we struggle with. He knows our day to day. And so now we end up finding ourselves in a space where we are performing. And now we're performing instead of healing. We are performing for a God who does not need our performance, and we waste our time in his presence. It's crazy. Performance becomes a space where I'm pretending to be something that I'm not. I'm pretending to be this vulnerable or even this strong person, rather, instead of being vulnerable with the one who gives us a safe space. Like, I've been learning that God is such a safe space. Being in his presence is such a safe space. I have really given my heart, I've given my mind, I've given my outpour to so many people. I'm trying to find the right word, but I guess outpour is what really came out. But given my vulnerability, I'll say that, to so many different people, and I found that I was not safe. And so, but I have found so much safety in God's presence, like his real presence, like really, really in where he is, right? In that holy of my life, I found so much safety. I'll never forget, there was a time just a few months ago where I was really, really going through some stuff. And I just felt like, man, I want to quit. I want to throw in the towel. I want to stop doing everything that's supposed to be good, everything that is really putting me in a space where um, I am helping others, but no one is helping me. I am, and I just was over it. I was done. I felt like the weight was too heavy. I felt like everything was just crashing down on me. And the truth is that God was holding me up and he was waiting for me. And so when I finally got to a place where I was very vulnerable with him instead of people, vulnerable with God instead of humans, I got to a space where I could finally start to heal. And I felt his presence. I felt his anointing. I felt him literally come and wrap his arms around me. Like it was, and tell me that it was okay. And when I tell y'all, I cried like a whole baby. I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. I cried so bad, my puppy came over to me and was like trying to comfort me. I'm a puppy dad, y'all. His name is Max. I have him in another room. Uh, but, so I got to a place where I stopped performing for God. I stopped performing in my own secret closet. I stopped um I stopped pushing to be this strong person that everyone thinks that I am. I stopped pushing to be this great, counselor, this great minister, this great leader. I I stopped and I took a moment. I breathed in and I said, God, I'm broken. And it was like that was all he was waiting for. That was all he was waiting for, was for me to simply admit that I'm broken. And when you can admit who you are with God, it creates such a space of healing because he can actually take that which is broken and start to heal it. And that's what Jeremiah talks about. He says, listen, I'm not interested in this big person, this big performance, this big hoopla of church. I I just want you. And that's it. And I think that we have really gotten away from the simplicity of just being in his presence and healing. There's so much healing that has to go on. There's so many of us that are really pushing to do so many things in life. We're pushing every day. We have to put on masks every day because we have to keep going despite what we're going through, despite our healing process, despite how things look for us. Everything's burning around us. Our finances are in trouble. I work and work and work, and it doesn't seem like anything is working for me. All of those things, right? But then we forget grace. We grind harder than grace gives us. We grind so much that we forget that it's okay to mess up. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not be this person that everybody is pushing for you to be. I think in the last month for myself, I've gotten to a space where I really learned that I'm not who I wanted to be. I'm not what I want to be. I became a lot of things for a lot of people. And when I got a chance to admit that, I realized that my grind was so hard. I was so hard on myself. Now, the grind is not always the hustle and bustle, right? But the grind is literally the grind. It's grinding. It's breaking down. It's the grind of the pepper in that pepper shaker thing where you gotta twist it and yeah. It's that. That's the grind. That grind is like a thing that consistently eats away at us. It consistently breaks us down. It consistently shows us who you are in the nutshell, but it breaks you down to every single part. So then you end up becoming so hard on yourself that you forget grace. God forgives. God gives grace. And no, we don't sin because we got grace. No. It's not that. It's just about the fact that, dude, you are human. You really are human. Like for real, for real. And he expects you to mess up. God expects us to be in a space where we are not okay. And sometimes we have to come to a point where we simply are not okay. And guess what? That's okay, because that's where grace comes in. That's where healing can finally start to take its place. Healing can finally begin to actually do its perfect work. Healing is not an overnight thing. That's miracle. Healing in and of itself is a time honored process that goes step by step by step by step. When you say, Father, forgive me, I've sinned and I need your help and all this other stuff, he does not expect you tomorrow to go out and not sin again. But what he does expect is for you to not be intentional about your sin. So, in this grace over grind, in this performance versus healing, in this mask versus life, I'm sick of wearing masks. I'm tired of always having to smile when I'm hurting. I'm tired of always having to tell people that I'm okay when really in my mind I've got a whole lot of squiggly lines just going everywhere. Just that's grind. That's performance. But here, I'm so grateful for the restoration room because here I don't have to do that. I can be vulnerable because I know that some people who are listening, some people who are watching, they need a space where they can simply just be. So some days we gonna work, some days we might cry, some days we might push. But the fact is that that's what we're here for. We're not here to perform. I did a lot to get this podcast off the ground. I got background. I don't have this stuff in my regular house, My place is very very plain Jane. I love my place, right? It's very nice, but it's very like plain Jane. But all these flowers and lights and all that, it's not. I did it for a nice background, to be honest. But I started to realize that some things were not coming together for me. Some things were not looking the way that I thought that they should look. And then the thought came to me, then what's the purpose of the restoration room? It's not perfect. It's not a place for perfection. It's not a place for uh, everything to be aesthetically pleasing. It is a space to come, to be comfortable, to pour out, and to just be. So give yourself a little grace. Give yourself some space to mess up. Understand that God's not looking for your perfection. He just wants your heart. But also realize he doesn't want your performance either. He wants to heal you. And everyone can't handle that. Everyone can't handle the healed version of you. They love the broken version, though. They can deal with that. But when you're healed, when you start to heal in areas that you never thought you could heal from, it really has a way of a way of changing things, a way of changing your view of people, changing your view of what everybody thinks about you. But knowing that no matter where I am in life, God is able to heal me. Like for real, he's able to do the work. He's able to um, take me out of a space that has plagued me for a long time and actually do the work without having to be in church. Because a lot of times, family, we think that church is supposed to be that place where, oh, I can go there and I can get healed and I can be delivered and I can do this and I can, and it is true. Those are the sanctuary, the altar are really places that you should be able to go. But sometimes the best healing is in your own place. It's in your own place of safety. When it's just you, raw, Ryan, raw, whoever you are. And you just begin to pour out. You just begin to say, Father, I need more of your grace. I need more of your mercy. Because the truth is I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I've got some big issues. And these big issues, they're minute to our God. That's the crazy part. Is they really are. They're super small to him, but they're big to us. But he gives us hope. He gives us peace. And he takes that which is broken and he fixes it. He really can do that. And I man, I'm a little emotional right now just thinking about like all of the places that I've been in where I was broken and he put me back together again. Thinking about all of the places that I'm still broken and he's currently putting me back together again. It's crazy. It's mind-boggling that even in my mess, if you will, that he is still able and he's still after me. That's crazy. It's really crazy, right? It's kind of like being in a relationship with someone who even though you're flawed, they still like, no, I can see the beauty in you. Like I can see the greatness in you. I can see this in me, but you don't see any of that in yourself. That's who God is for us. David was named as a man after God's own heart, but that man was tormented. He was an adulterer. He was a killer. He did a lot of stuff. But God still used him. God still loved him. And God still showed him so much mercy to the point that he has the biggest book in the Bible. He was one of the most named and famous kings of Israel. How much so could that be for us? That if we simply had a space of vulnerability with God, if we simply had an opportunity to just say, Lord, this is who I am. This is what I have. And I don't know any other way. But I know you can make something of it. There was a song that I used to sing back as a teenager and a kid. It was like something beautiful, something good. And all of my confusion, Christ understood. When all I had to offer him was brokenness and strife. But he made something beautiful out of my life. That's what he does. That's where grace comes. That's where healing comes. And that's what he does for us. He is really after our hearts to restore us, not to necessarily change you as a person. He just wants to build you up. He wants to, because the changes come over time as you heal. Because when you learn that healing, you start to learn. One of the things I've learned about healing, rather, is that things that are a part of me were not because they're a part of me. It was because they were learned behaviors to protect myself. So when God can knock that wall down, when you allow him to knock that wall down and begin to heal you, the changes happen all automatically. So give yourself a little grace. Give yourself some vulnerability with God and let him heal you. Stop performing. There's no performance needed. He's God. He knows it all. He knows everything about us. So let him do what he does. Thank you so much for joining the Restoration Room today. Remember, he's not looking for our perfection, but he's calling us to a place of healing, a place of wholeness and restoration, like wholehearted restoration. This is just the start of our 12-week journey, talking about restoring what life tried to ruin. Next week in episode 2, we're tackling a hard but necessary topic: when the church hurts you. We'll look at healing after the church hurt, spiritual abuse. We'll learn how to recognize what toxic leadership, manipulation, and broken trust looks like. We'll even do a contrast of pain of wolves in sheep's clothing and the safety of Jesus as the true shepherd. We'll look at the promises of God in Psalm 147:3, Ezekiel 34 as well, and the reminders that he continues to bind up broken hearts and heal our wounds. So if today's message encourages you, it helps you, do me a favor. Please make sure you follow the Restoration Room podcast on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts. I don't want you to miss an episode. I don't want you to miss out on the things that we're talking about because it's so needed and it is so necessary. Do me a favor though. Don't keep this podcast to yourself. I need you to share it with someone, because this stuff that we're talking about today, this stuff that we're going to be talking about in the near future, it's needed. It's necessary. So share it with someone who needs to simply be reminded that restoration is still possible. Until then, I'm Ryan. Just Ryan. Some of you may know my last name, but I'm just Ryan. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Peace out from the Restoration Room, where we come in broken and we leave rebuilt. Love you guys.
Each episode blends real talk, biblical truth, and restorative insight. We give you the tools to rise above, recover, and walk in freedom. hearts are